The stars burned quietly above the Galactic Council's great station. But silence was not peace, it was fear, and across the galaxy, planets had stopped answering calls. Trade routes had gone dark, and the council hall, once filled with laughter and noise, was now cold and quiet. Ambassadors from 100 worlds sat around the circular chamber, their holographic faces flickering. Every race trembling, the council speaker, a tall crystalline being named Thalrian, finally spoke. "We have lost another colony in the Rim sector." His voice cracked through the hall. No distress signal, no survivors, only silence. The Zorthian delegate shouted, "We must stop sending fleets. Every fleet we send never comes back." Another voice, trembling, said, "We need help, but who would come?" No empire dared to move. No warrior wanted to face the darkness that ate stars. At last the council voted a desperate plan. "Send a universal distress call," Thalrian declared. "To every corner of the galaxy, maybe. Someone will hear." The great transmission arrays powered up. A pulse of energy traveled faster than light, echoing through the void, crossing nebulae and ancient ruins. The message was simple. "Help us. The darkness is coming." For days they waited, the galaxy waited, but no one answered. Fleets hid. Worlds sealed their skies. Old enemies turned off their radios. The fear was stronger than loyalty, stronger than hope, until one signal blinked back far away, from a small blue planet orbiting an ordinary yellow star, Earth inside Earth's Orbital Defense Command. Alarms rang. Commander Elias Reyes walked into the control room, his eyes sharp, his uniform worn from past wars. "Report," he said. The operator replied, "Sir, we've received a Class Omega distress call. Origin Galactic Center." Reyes frowned. "From the Council?" He asked. "Yes, sir, they're asking for help." The generals gathered. Screens showing the chaos across distant worlds, destroyed fleets, unknown ships feeding on stars. Admiral Takahashi spoke. "The Council abandoned us centuries ago. They called us savages, now they want our help." Silence filled the room. But Reyes looked at the images again, and saw billions of innocent lives. "Alien or not, dying in terror," he said quietly. "We know what it feels like to cry for help and be ignored." His voice grew firm. "Humanity doesn't turn away." Earth's president authorized immediate action. "Prepare a task force," she ordered. "We will answer the call." In less than 12 hours, shipyards came alive, massive hangars opened, and the fleet known as Expeditionary Strike Group Sol 17 was assembled. At its heart was the UNS Resolute, humanity's latest Titan-class warship, its hull black as space, lined with glowing veins of blue plasma, a ship built not for conquest but for protection. Crews rushed through corridors, engineers checking fusion cores, pilots loading drones, soldiers saying quiet goodbyes in one hangar. Captain Mira Velasquez looked at her crew. "We're going to the center of the galaxy," she said. "Where no human ship has ever gone," someone asked. "And if the enemy comes for us?" She smiled. "Then they'll learn why humans never stop fighting." News spread across the solar system. People gathered at spaceports and screens. Some prayed, some cried, and some whispered, "We're going to save them." As the fleet prepared to depart, Reyes stood at the observation deck, staring at the Earth below, blue, fragile, yet unyielding. A young officer approached. "Sir, the Council hasn't even replied to confirm our message. Are we sure they want us there?" Reyes nodded. "They don't have to want us. They need us." Moments later, the launch order was given, engines ignited, and space around Earth rippled with light. The ships lifted one by one, leaving trails of energy, rising above the moon, past Mars and into the void. Fleet Sol 17. "This is command." A voice echoed through every ship. "You are cleared for jump." The jump drive of the Resolute activated. Tearing a glowing rift in space, the stars stretched into lines, and then vanished inside the council hall. Thalrian stood alone. Watching the stars outside his window, he whispered. "No one answered," his assistant said weakly. "No one except them." "The humans," he turned shocked. "The humans," he repeated. "They're sending ships." The chamber filled with whispers, disbelief spreading among the alien envoys. One said, "Those primitives? They're going to die," another muttered. "Or save us all." Meanwhile, across deep space, the human fleet emerged from hyperspace. The void around them filled with debris of destroyed worlds, floating corpses of ships and broken satellites. Reyes looked at the shattered remains and whispered, "We're late." Sensors picked up faint life signs on a drifting station. "Move in," he ordered. Rescue pods launched. And soon they found survivors, aliens barely alive. Eyes filled with fear, one gasped, "You shouldn't have come." "They're still here." Reyes looked into the endless black horizon. The stars flickered strangely, like something massive was moving between them. He clenched his fists. "We came because someone had to." The survivors whispered stories of creatures from beyond, ships that drank light, monsters that spoke without sound. The humans listened quietly. No laughter, no arrogance, only resolve. "Signal back to Earth," Reyes said. "Tell them we found survivors and tell them the enemy is real." The human fleet set up defenses, scanning deeper into the void, and for a brief moment, the sensors caught something. Movement, a shadow sliding between the stars. "Too large, too silent," Reyes whispered. "They see us." As the shadow faded, the human ships locked their weapons and prepared for what was coming. Far behind them, the galaxy still waited, thinking no one had answered, but in that darkness, one small human fleet had already lit its fire. And the silence of the galaxy began to break, replaced by the steady heartbeat of human courage, echoing across the stars. The human fleet drifted through the ruins of the outer sectors, silent but alert, scanners sweeping the void where light itself seemed afraid to travel. The stars here were dim, half-eaten, and ghostly shadows moved where planets once orbited. Commander Elias Reyes stood on the bridge of the UNS Resolute. Eyes fixed on the holographic map before him, red dots blinked, each one a lost colony. "We are in the heart of the dead zone," his officer whispered. "No active signals, no beacons, nothing." Reyes nodded slowly. "Then we find the reason why." Behind him, Captain Mira Velasquez checked the tactical displays, her voice calm but cold. "Half the fleet's power grid is flickering from radiation," Reyes replied. "Keep moving, the survivors might still be out there." The ships moved forward, gliding past shattered moons and burnt hulls, massive battlefields where alien armadas had once stood proud. Now only drifting corpses, the human fleet's search drones released pulses of light. Scanning for life one by one, they returned with nothing. Until Drone 7 blinked. "Life detected, weak but present source?" Reyes asked. The officer replied, "A derelict carrier, alien design. Barely functional." "Get us closer," Reyes ordered. The Resolute approached, massive floodlights cutting through the darkness, revealing a ship twice its size, torn in half. Covered in claw marks and burn scars, rescue teams boarded, stepping into the silent corridors of the alien ship. Corpses floated in the dark, walls carved with strange runes, as if the crew had tried to warn anyone who came after them. "Life signs ahead," came a voice through the comms, and the rescuers found a sealed medical bay. Inside were a few survivors, thin, trembling, their scales pale, their eyes wide with terror. One of them, a Drellian commander, looked up weakly. "You shouldn't have come here," he whispered. "The Voidborn will find you too." Reyes crouched beside him, his voice steady. "Who are the Voidborn?" The alien shivered. "They came from the edge of the galaxy. They don't speak, they don't negotiate. They consume." Reyes helped the alien sit up. "Then tell me where they came from." But before the alien could answer, the ship's lights flickered. The sensors on the Resolute screamed. Something massive was moving outside. "Contact!" The weapons officer shouted. The radar showed an enormous mass emerging from the darkness. No heat signature, no drive emissions. Just pure absence, like space itself was bending. The bridge fell silent as the shadow passed across their viewports, blocking starlight. A single blue eye opened within the dark. "Glowing faintly, watching, target lock," Velasquez whispered. Reyes shook his head. "No, hold fire." The thing drifted closer, slowly circling the human fleet, its surface rippling like liquid metal. For a moment it seemed to scan them. Then in a burst of impossible speed, it vanished, leaving only static behind. Everyone on the bridge exhaled. "What was that?" Someone whispered. Reyes didn't answer, his jaw tight. "We're not alone here," he said quietly. They towed the damaged alien ship toward a nearby asteroid field. Setting up a temporary base, medical crews worked on the wounded. Engineers repaired the hulls and scientists examined fragments of black material found clinging to the wrecks. Dr. Hina Patel, lead xenobiologist, stood before Reyes holding a fragment inside a containment field. "Sir, this isn't metal, it's alive," she said. "It's absorbing radiation like it's feeding." Reyes frowned. "A living ship?" She nodded. "Or something worse." As the day passed, the rescued aliens slowly recovered. One young Drellian technician looked out a viewport and saw human engineers repairing both human and alien ships side by side. "Why are you helping us?" he asked softly. The human mechanic smiled tiredly, because that's what we do. Word spread through the survivors, humans helping without asking for payment or alliance. Just to save lives, soon aliens began calling them the stubborn species, the ones who refused to run. That night, Reyes stood in the observation deck. The stars distant and cold, he tapped his communicator. Fleet Command, this is Reyes. We've made contact with survivors and a possible new hostile entity. Request reinforcements. Silence followed. No reply came, only static. He tried again, still nothing. The communication arrays glitched as if something was jamming them. Velasquez joined him. No one's coming, is there? She asked. Reyes sighed. Not yet, maybe never. She smiled faintly. Then we do what humans always do. We fight anyway. Moments later, alarms blared again. A small group of strange ships appeared on long-range sensors, smaller than the previous shadow. Moving fast, Reyes ordered. Defensive posture. Shields up. The ships didn't reply to any hails. They surrounded the fleet silently, and then one of them launched a bolt of dark energy straight into a human escort. The hull melted instantly. Return fire! Reyes shouted, cannons roared, blue plasma streaked through the black. Cutting into the enemy ships, explosions lit the void. 2 alien vessels broke apart, but one latched onto the Resolute's hull. Drilling like an insect, the deck shook violently. Boarding attempt! Velasquez yelled. Marines rushed through the corridors. Gunfire echoing, the invaders were shapeless things. Metal and flesh twisted together. Moving like smoke, bullets tore through them, but they reformed. One Marine shouted, "They don't die," until Reyes himself entered the fray with a plasma cutter. Slicing through the creature's core, it screamed without sound and dissolved into ash. After a long hour, the decks fell silent again. The surviving crew stood breathing heavily. Reyes wiped dark fluid off his armor. Now we know what they are, he said, and that they can bleed. The damaged ships regrouped, floating among the shattered asteroids, and humanity's fleet repaired itself under the light of a dying sun. The rescued aliens stared in awe, these humans. Alone in the dark, surrounded, still choosing to fight that night, Reyes sent one last message to Earth through a quantum relay. His voice low but clear. This is Commander Reyes. Contact with an unknown hostile confirmed. Losses heavy but manageable. We are holding the line. He paused, looking at the stars. If we fall, tell them humanity answered the call. As the transmission faded into the void, the fleet drifted on, small lights of courage burning in endless darkness, and somewhere beyond the stars the enemy stirred again. The human fleet hung in the shadow of a dying star, its red light bleeding weakly across the hulls of battered ships, every surface scarred from battle, every crew member exhausted yet still at their post. Commander Elias Reyes stood on the UNS Resolute's command deck, staring at the main display where the last fragments of enemy ships drifted like ashes. Dr. Hina Patel's voice echoed through the comm. Commander, we've completed the scans on that living metal. Reyes turned. And? She took a breath. It's not from our galaxy. The room went silent, she continued. The molecular structure contains elements unknown to our periodic table, and the energy readings are impossible. They're feeding off starlight itself. Reyes frowned. So they devour suns, he muttered. Patel nodded slowly, and once a star dies, they move to the next. She looked up. They're not invading for resources. Commander, they're migrating, Velasquez whispered. A migration of extinction. Moments later, a signal came through, weak but clear, a message from the Galactic Council. Thalrian's trembling hologram flickered before them. Human fleet, do not engage again. We are evacuating all central systems. The darkness cannot be fought. His crystalline eyes dimmed. Run while you still can. Reyes's expression hardened. We don't run. He turned to his crew. We're going deeper. Silence filled the bridge, but no one protested. Humanity had decided long ago. They would rather burn than bow. The fleet jumped toward the inner rim where the enemy activity was strongest as they emerged from hyperspace. They saw it, a massive formation of the void-born fleet, black as night. Thousands of them orbiting a broken star, feeding. Hundreds of smaller creatures drifted between them like drones tending to a hive. Sensors screamed from the overload, and still the numbers kept rising. There are millions of them, Velasquez whispered. Reyes's jaw tightened. Then we'll make sure they remember us. Earth's engineers had sent one final update before the communication blackout. A prototype weapon codenamed Project Aegis, using gravity manipulation fields designed to crush targets with the force of collapsing moons. The Resolute was equipped with the first functional model. "Prepare the Aegis cannon," Reyes ordered. The bridge lights dimmed as power redirected. Energy readings spiked. "Target the core hive ship," Velasquez said. "Lock confirmed." The massive weapon hummed, the deck trembling, and then a blinding flash erupted from the bow. A sphere of compressed gravity shot into the enemy fleet. Collapsing space around it, entire swarms vanished in seconds, torn apart like dust for a heartbeat. Everyone on the bridge cheered, but then the darkness screamed. Thousands of void-born ships turned toward them at once, their eyes glowing blue. Beams of anti-light fired across space, cutting through 2 human cruisers instantly. Shields failing. Someone shouted, the fleet scattered. The Resolute taking point, human ships fought like cornered lions, launching plasma storms and railgun fire. Explosions rippled across the void in the chaos. Captain Velasquez's ship, UNS Vanguard, took a direct hit. Her voice came through the comm. "We're losing hull integrity, Commander." "Continue the mission," Reyes shouted back. "No, you're not dying here." But her final words came calm, proud. "We'll hold them back. For humanity." And then the Vanguard disappeared in a blinding explosion. The blast opened a path through the enemy swarm. Reyes seized it. Full thrust. "Charge the Aegis again!" The gravity weapon pulsed once more, collapsing another hive ship. But the energy backlash overloaded the Resolute's core. Alarms blared. "Reactor breach in progress," an officer cried. Reyes turned to his comms officer. "Transmit everything we've learned. Send the coordinates. Their weakness, their feeding pattern, send it all to Earth." The officer hesitated. "Sir, the transmission might not make it through," Reyes replied. "Then we die trying." The Resolute shuddered as enemy beams tore through its side. Sparks rained across the bridge. Crew members thrown to the floor. Reyes dragged himself up, blood on his forehead. "Helm, bring us closer to the star." Velasquez's replacement. Lieutenant Arya Cho looked up. "Sir, that will kill us." Reyes smiled faintly. "Better us than the galaxy." The ship dove toward the dying star, heat tearing at its hull. The gravity field increasing. The enemy fleet followed. Chasing, desperate to stop them, Reyes turned to his crew. "It's been an honor," he said softly. "Let's give them a light they'll never forget." The Aegis core overloaded completely, a surge of gravity ripping through the Resolute's systems. Reyes looked out the viewport one last time and whispered, "Tell them Earth stood." Then the ship detonated, the blast collapsing the dying star into a miniature supernova, a wave of radiation sweeping across the void, vaporizing half of the pursuing fleet. For days, the galaxy saw a new star ignite in the sky where none had been before. The light reached the Council worlds, and the aliens whispered. The humans fought the darkness, but when the light faded, no human signals remained. The fleet was gone. The Council declared them lost. Memorials were built, and across the stars, beings bowed their heads for the species that had dared to fight the impossible. Yet in the silence beyond the rim, among drifting wreckage and dead systems, faint energy signatures began to flicker again. Tiny pulses matching Earth's frequency, and deep in the void something stirred, something human, something waiting. The galaxy thought humanity had died, but the story was far from over, for even in death, humanity's light refused to go out. For weeks, the galaxy believed humanity was gone. The Galactic Council held a silent memorial, their vast halls filled with the flicker of candles. Thaurion, the crystalline speaker, stood before billions and spoke softly. They answered when no one else did, and now they are lost to the dark. Across the stars, alien worlds dimmed their lights for one full cycle, honoring the fallen humans who had fought for strangers. But far beyond the rim, in the graveyard of broken suns, a faint spark of light flickered, deep inside the wreckage of the UNS Resolute. Machines hummed again, servos whirred, and an emergency beacon came to life, pulsing once every 10 seconds. The light of defiance inside what remained of the ship. Commander Elias Reyes gasped awake, cold air filling his lungs. Pain burned through his chest. "Status," he croaked. The ship's AI responded weakly. "Core systems offline. Life support at 6%, crew. 0% confirmed alive." Reyes pushed himself upright. Surrounded by fire and ruin, the AI added, "One escape module intact. Signal beacon transmitting." Reyes looked out through the cracked viewport, the dying light of the star reflected in his eyes. "We're not finished," he whispered. Days blurred into weeks. The beacon continued its lonely call until a faint signal responded. A human code. Earth frequency, the AI confirmed. Unknown source, encrypted channel. Decoding. Moments later, a voice filled the broken bridge. This is Captain Zara Holt of the UNS Soul's Fury. We received your distress ping. Reyes froze, stunned. Zara. You made it, she replied. Her voice steady. We made more, Commander. The fleet lives. Through the haze of wreckage, bright lights appeared, human ships emerging from hyperspace. Not the small fleet that left Earth, but larger, rebuilt, armored with strange black plating that shimmered like liquid. Holt's voice echoed again. We found your data packet, Commander. Everything you sent, their weakness. Their feeding pattern, the gravity weapon. We used it, and we rebuilt. The Soul's Fury extended docking clamps, towing the shattered Resolute out of the collapsing starfield. Human engineers rushed to stabilize the wreck, and Reyes, still weak, watched as familiar faces appeared on the monitors. You're not ghosts, he whispered. One engineer laughed. No, sir. Just stubborn humans. Holt walked onto the medbay where Reyes was resting. Saluted sharply. Welcome back, sir. Reyes smiled faintly. You brought the fleet, she nodded. And half the galaxy. He blinked. Explain. Holt gestured to the holomap. Hundreds of signals filled the stars. Ships from a dozen species. United. When the Council saw your final transmission, something changed, she said. Races that never worked together before, they came to us. They said if humanity could stand, so could they. Reyes stared, silent for a long moment. So the galaxy learned courage, Holt nodded. They learned it from us. The newly built Titan-class warship Soul's Fury was unlike anything before. Its hull forged from captured void metal, its core powered by hybrid gravity engines, glowing with both human technology and the enemy's stolen strength. Reyes stepped onto the bridge and ran his hand along the railing. You made a monster, he said. Holt smiled. A monster built to protect. As the fleet prepared for departure, the Council opened communications. Thalrion's image appeared, his crystalline body dimmer than before. Commander Reyes, he said quietly. We thought you perished, Reyes replied. We nearly did. Thalrion lowered his head. The Council owes humanity everything. Reyes's tone hardened. Then stop running, speaker. It's time to fight. A new signal interrupted the transmission. Massive enemy movement detected near the Orion Belt. Entire star systems already falling. Reyes turned to Holt. Plot a course, she answered without hesitation. Coordinates locked, Commander, he nodded. Then we bring the light back to the darkness. The fleet jumped. Dozens of ships tearing through hyperspace, streaks of blue and silver against the void. As they exited near Orion, the sight before them froze everyone. A sea of black ships stretched across the horizon, feeding on a sun, turning light into shadow. Reyes stood tall on the bridge. Activate the Aegis array. Engineers rushed to comply. The modified gravity cannons aligned across the Soul's Fury's hull. Human and alien crews worked side by side. United for the first time, the alien technician whispered. We follow you, Commander, Reyes replied. Then follow me into the fire. The first barrage fired. Gravity storms ripped through the enemy ranks, tearing ships apart in seconds. Explosions bloomed like suns, but the Voidborn responded, thousands of them turning in unison. The sky darkened again. Energy beams lanced toward the fleet. One hit a human cruiser, splitting it in half, debris scattered. Screams echoed through the comms. Hold the line, Reyes shouted. If they break through, it's over. The Soul's Fury powered up its secondary core, blue flames erupting from its thrusters. The entire ship shuddered. Commander, Holt said, we can't sustain this much power. Reyes smiled grimly. We'll sustain it or die trying. The enemy pushed harder, their ships swarming like insects. But the human-led alliance fought back with fury unmatched. Alien plasma cannons, human railguns, and gravity weapons thundered together. Shaking the void itself one by one, the enemy ships began to fall, their black hulls cracking, their blue eyes fading. After hours of chaos, silence fell. The surviving fleets drifted among burning wreckage. Reyes exhaled slowly. Status? Holt replied, heavy losses. But we're still here, across the comms. Alien voices rose, cheering, crying, chanting in a dozen languages, but all meaning the same thing. Humanity stands. Reyes looked out at the shattered horizon, his voice calm. Send a message to the Council. Holt nodded. What should I say? Reyes stared at the light of the burning star. Tell them the light returns. As the fleet turned toward home, the camera panned over the ruins. showing ships of every shape and color moving together, their engines glowing blue like Earth's. A single inscription painted across the Soul's Fury's hull. From the ashes, we rise, and somewhere in the endless dark unseen eyes watched, cold and patient. As if waiting for the next move, the war was far from over. But the galaxy had something new now, hope. Carried on human wings, the galaxy had changed. For the first time in recorded history, hundreds of races fought under one banner, one purpose, to survive. And at the center of it all stood humanity, the species everyone once mocked. The same species now commanding fleets that stretched from nebula to nebula. On Earth, the skies blazed with light as shipyards never slept, building warships day and night, every factory alive with noise and fire. Old enemies, now allies, worked beside humans, sharing designs, energy cores, and courage. A new banner flew across the Solar Defense Command, an emblem of Earth surrounded by 12 alien sigils. The mark of unity, Commander Elias Reyes stood on the bridge of the UNS Soul's Fury, its hull now reforged with void metal and human steel, glowing faintly with the captured power of the enemy. Captain Zara Holt stood beside him, her eyes on the tactical screen. "Enemy fleet size estimate?" Reyes asked quietly. The sensor officer replied, "All of them, sir. Every void born in the galaxy is converging on Earth." Silence filled the room. Holt exhaled slowly. Then this is it. Across the galaxy. The transmission went out. Reyes's face projected to every world, his voice calm but unyielding. "This is Commander Reyes of Earth," he said. "When the darkness came, you called for help and humanity answered. Now the darkness comes for us all, and we stand together. This is not the end. This is the beginning of our stand." His words echoed through systems light years away, stirring soldiers, miners, pilots, and even children watching from distant colonies. The alien council leader Thalrion appeared next, voice trembling but strong. "We once called humanity reckless. Now we call them leaders." He raised his crystalline hand. "All fleets to Earth," and they came from every corner of the stars. Fleets of insectoid ships from Zorthia, sleek crystal cruisers from the Alaran Dominion, molten carriers from the Multhax Forge worlds, and human dreadnoughts leading them all. Orbiting the blue planet that started it, the battle began with silence. The void-born fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm, black waves stretching beyond vision, their sheer size blotting out the stars. The first volley hit Mars's defense line, 3 stations gone in seconds. But the humans did not flinch. "Return fire!" Reyes shouted. Railguns roared. Plasma beams burned through the void. The sky turned white. Earth's moon shook under the impact of energy blasts. Fragments of ships fell into orbit, but still, the fleet held. Reyes's voice echoed through every comm. "For every light they extinguish, light 10 more, make the void choke on our fire." The Soul's Fury led the charge, its gravity cannons glowing blue-white, firing again and again, collapsing enemy ships into nothingness. Human pilots screamed war cries. Alien commanders followed with pride. 1,000 languages united in one defiant roar. The enemy responded with fury, unleashing their core weapon, a massive sphere of black energy that devoured everything in its path. Ships vanished without explosions. Just silence. Reyes stared at the readings. "That's their heart," he said. "If we destroy that, we end them." Holt frowned. "We can't reach it without losing everything." Reyes looked at her, eyes fierce. "Then we lose everything." He turned to the comms. "Transmit this to all fleets." The signal carried his voice to millions of soldiers. Humanity was born in struggle. We learned to fight long before the stars knew our name. Today we stand for more than our world. Today, the galaxy stands with Earth. The Soul's Fury pushed forward alone. Enemy beams slicing around it, shields cracking, alarms screaming. Holt shouted, "We won't survive this." Reyes replied calmly, "We're not meant to survive. We're meant to win." He ordered all power to the Aegis core. The ship's hull began to glow. The enemy fired everything, but the Soul's Fury did not stop. Flames trailed behind it as it plunged straight into the black sphere. Inside the heart of darkness there was silence. Then a voice, soft, ancient, echoing through the comms. "You cannot destroy us. We are eternal," Reyes whispered. "So are we." And pressed the final command. The Aegis core detonated, collapsing the black sphere inward. Light consumed the void brighter than any sun. The explosion spread for light years, shredding the void-born fleet into nothingness. For a moment, the galaxy saw a new star rise in the night sky. On Earth, people looked up and gasped. Children pointed at the glowing light and whispered, "That's them." When the light faded, the enemy was gone and silence returned, not of fear, but of peace. Days later, across the galaxy, fleets gathered again, not for war, but for remembrance. A monument was built on Earth's moon, carved from crystal and steel, its surface etched with the names of every ship that fought. At the top was an inscription written in both human and alien language. When the galaxy cried, humanity answered, and the stars remembered their courage. Thalrion placed a crystalline hand on the monument. "They taught us to be brave," he said softly, "and because of them, we still have light in the quiet of orbit." Captain Holt stood at the observation deck of a new warship. UNS Genesis, looking toward the stars, she whispered, "We lost many, but we are not broken." And deep in space, among the ruins of the enemy fleet, strange signals began to pulse again. Human frequencies, faint but alive, maybe. Somewhere out there, Reyes still fought. Or maybe it was only the echo of his final words carried through the stars. "If they ever call again, humanity will answer." The camera pulled back from Earth, showing the vast united fleet now standing guard across the galaxy, the blue planet shining brighter than ever. And the narrator's voice whispered one last line. "And thus began the age when the galaxy no longer feared the dark, because it remembered the light of Earth."